I was in contact with Tom just before that situation, letting him know the cops were probably here to talk to her. And of course, they were. And of course, well, I must be the monster. I have the penis. It's a good thing I record. Anyway, Tom and I spoke earlier, and I was gonna make sure everything was right with him before I left. Kept my word. He seemed alright to me. Anyway, the guy also said it was alright for me to, or the officer said it would probably be a good idea for me to relocate over to this side, which I am perfectly fine and dandy with. I was over there on the other side because I was asked to help, and it would be easier to do if I was there. You also got to see how, with her wanting to leave and watch the U.S. Open, turned into a big old fiasco that ran on into the night. And then again today, more fiasco that ran on into the night. I'm genuinely surprised that the cops didn't talk to me this morning, but they did talk to Tom this morning because he was sleeping in a chair next to my vehicle with a blanket over him so that she wouldn't recognize him. So, yeah. Anyway, thank goodness today he decided he was gonna try to take care of that himself. Just in case there's more crazy bullshit from that lady, because when you encounter a fucking goddamn wingnut that fucking crazy, you're gonna have more issues with her. She's gonna see you across the street from fucking 3 blocks away, or somebody who looks like you from 3 blocks away, and fucking start playing crazy shit, which, of course, is why I record. The situation with her recorded on my YouTube channel. If those folks decide to pull some shit, it's not going to work out too good because, well, actually it probably would work out alright. Seems to me my Facebook and my YouTube information only count if it's someone trying to use it against me, and only a small portion against me, because they won't allow anything else in there. They won't allow the actual context. They just allow little bits and pieces, and they also allow my predators with repeated conflicts of interest to take part in committing crimes against me. Now I'm trying to go to an area or a place and hopefully make sure by recording it and by being honest that I don't end up with a situation where there is a conflict of interest with me taking stuff to the police, to a specific department. I thought the word that I was trying to spit out didn't work. Anyway, that's one of the reasons for, after jumping through all the hoops that I had about situations in both Hood River and the Dalles, why it is that I made sure to reserve the sheriff's department in the Dalles. And I was going to go to them, but I think that the best way to do that, of course, is with someone going in with me, as always. We get to see how much progress we make when I go in alone. And of course, you got to hear that officer like a broken record saying the same thing over and over and over and over again. It don't matter how many times you say it. Anyway, I still got a little bit of gas, but I'm gonna be all right. I can repark my vehicle and call it good. If I fart too much and it gets too stinky, I'll just open up the windows in the back hatch. Or open up the doors in the back hatch, I should say. The driver's side window doesn't work. and the passenger side window needs unburied before I can roll it down. And this is one of those things where you're going to encounter a lot of people, especially stuck-up women out here, that feel especially, what's the word? Well, they want to pull the poor me. And to some degree, it's true, but there's also the point where it becomes a game or a ploy in order to manipulate people like it did with this situation. You know, he just wanted to get the fuck away from her. And of course, I was able to record some of it, but a lot of times he just walks up to my vehicle real stealth-like, quiet, and starts telling me about the situation. So I don't always get it recorded, but I got enough of it recorded to show, yeah, this is the situation and I am telling the truth. There was a guy who was celebrating his birthday, and well, they were actually, as soon as I come up to him and turned off the camera, they started telling me about that lady and her with some other Hispanic guy who was flying a sign who I didn't see, and her yelling at him, and a couple other situations. I'm like, damn, this lady's really been at it. So when those officers were telling me to not help out either one, that's not going to happen. If her life is in danger, I don't care what she did to me. If her life is in danger, I'm going to help her. With him, it don't matter if his life is in danger or not. He hasn't done anything wrong. If he tells me he needs help, he's going to get it. His plan as of now is to help her to get to Portland and then come back without her. Maybe his plans will change when he gets there. Maybe she'll be able to convince him of something, but after what she pulled tonight, I am fairly certain that he is probably going to be very happy to be rid of her once he gets to Portland. With her pulling this shit on me, I'm sure that's sending off a lot of red flags in his mind. And with him already trying to escape, you know, that's one of the things about helping a woman out in a situation like this. You do have to be afraid of the consequences of it. You do have to be afraid that she's going to be batshit fucking bonkers, and she's going to do crazy stuff, and she's going to accuse people of shit they didn't do, and she doesn't get what she wants. I mean, she wanted to take the situation where, you know, I'm trying to help a brother out and help him get out of a real tough situation. And of course, that's getting me targeted by her, and she's wanting to take out her anger and aggression on somebody. And there's all these people that no longer want to have anything to do with her, and some of them haven't had anything to do with her or wanted to have anything to do with her since the day she got here. These people are afraid because she's that fucking crazy. Now, obviously, talking to the cops, they were able to tell that I wasn't a goddamn nut job like her, which is good. Also, they didn't break the law like many cops do. I like that. A lot of cops will show up and start breaking the law from the beginning, but it's pretty obvious that I had it recorded and was recording it. And like I said, that does help. It may not be the end-all, be-all, fix-all of everything, but it's a start. And that's one of the things about protecting yourself and defending yourself with modern technology. Sure, the modern technology is there, but that doesn't mean somebody's going to look at it. They might call you mentally ill to prevent anybody from looking at it. Alright. Got my vehicle started so I can turn on my dome light without it killing my battery. And I can start readjusting things because always got to do that. I got to sort through the stuff that I need. That means readjusting that stuffing it wherever it'll fit. If it's on top of something that I need, I got to stuff it over somewhere else where it's not on top of something I need. And I got to move it back if there's something underneath it that I need there. Just a whole bunch of moving shit, reshuffling it, and playing Tetris. Also, I put up the blind tonight so that I get some semblance of what could be considered privacy. Last night, when I made the video, someone was knocking on my door. That was actually Tom trying to escape. He didn't get to escape, I guess. His friend who was going to come see him last night didn't show up. His friend who was going to come see him yesterday didn't show up. And his friend who was going to come rescue him today showed up, but didn't take him anywhere. So his stuff sat next to my vehicle where he was trying to hide it from her. And, I just feel bad for the guy. I mean, after everything he's been through, this is not something he should have to go through. And that officer telling me to whatever with him. No, if he asks for my help, he didn't do anything wrong to me. He's been nothing but courteous to me. He hasn't blamed me for shit that I didn't do. He hasn't blamed me for the things that she's doing. He also doesn't want her getting in trouble, and I can understand that. I mean, really, she's not all there. For him, wishing that she'd just allow him to speak. And you got to hear that guy this morning that she was yelling at. It's pretty much the same way with everybody that she talks to. Now, obviously, those cops didn't arrest her, so she's able to keep it together at least somewhat. But as soon as the cops leave, what's to stop her from going fucking batshit crazy again? Cause and effect. Hopefully she doesn't drive Tom to suicide. I like it. I'm trying to find, because I got a bunch of different plugins here, I'm trying to find the one that goes to, oh, that one's plugged in. Bunch jumbled knots. Yep, that one's plugged in. Oh. I got that frozen cheesecake on my door handle. I accidentally just smacked it with my tape and with my fist. Tom did not get to escape her like he was hoping. And me, I get to step away from the scenario, which I was planning on doing anyway, just making sure that Tom was safe first. And I told him I would. I'm not sure how much me and Tom talking is actually on YouTube or Facebook. I mean, it's actually recorded on YouTube, and how much of it isn't. Let me see. But I know there's enough on there to show I'm telling the truth about it, and that he was trying to hide from her, and he was trying to get away. And that's the thing about, being a good person. He doesn't want to step off the situation either. He wants to make sure that he at least gets her somewhere safe so that he doesn't feel like he's just dumping her off somewhere. And that's kind of the way I feel about him and her. Now, when he decided that for his sanity, that's what he needed to do, well, he at least tried. And, of course, he did get a little bit of a break from her as a result. And that, I guess, has given him enough juice to go on. His plan was to leave for a few days or go hide for a few days to give her the impression that he was no longer in town and wasn't coming back. And maybe they'd get lucky and she'd leave and he'd come. But it doesn't look like that's going to happen. Hopefully his cousin comes through. Hopefully they're able to get to Portland. Hopefully he's able to come back. If he's not able to, I'm not going to hold myself responsible. I don't make his decisions for him. He tried to escape, and I would have stuck with him all the way to the end for it, just to help him get out of here. But with him feeling responsible for her now, I can understand why he's trying to stick around. He understands that she's nutty, and he doesn't want to just abandon her out here. He wants to get her somewhere that she's familiar with, so that if he abandons her, he's not abandoning her with absolutely nothing and no clue where she's at, no resources, and nobody she knows. Also, I didn't know that they had just met 3 days ago. I didn't find that out until today. I was under the impression they were boyfriend and girlfriend, and the cops, they said the same thing. So, obviously, my observations are not just my own. Obviously, I am quite astute. We got about half of the stuff done that we need to in order to move the vehicle. Tom did bring me water earlier, so I've got some water. I've got some coffee that's mixed up. It's strong enough that if I chug the thing of coffee all by itself, it's probably got about 3 times as much caffeine as those monsters. And if I chug 2 of those monsters in 30 minutes, it'll knock me out. So hopefully if I chug the rest of that, like I said, I drink it throughout the day to help calm me down when I'm feeling extra anxiety. I'll drink a little bit of the coffee. The days that I'm without coffee, you can tell because I got a lot more anxiety. But yeah, that's something that helps me go to sleep, and also it helps Tom go to sleep too. I know for a fact I made an aluminum pipe for smoking tobacco in, since this was too short for that. Also, we got a little bit of charge on our electronics, starting to work itself in. I'm not out of gas yet. As far as the boondocking goes, they explained it a little bit different than the way the law explained it. But, if there's no spot to pull over, then you don't get to boondock. There's also a couple different tweakers that come through at night and go through the dumpsters around here. On the other side of the building, I didn't even see them except if I was out walking around, but parked here, they kind of stop and talk to me. Alexander actually stopped and talked to me last night. I think I might have his number saved in my phone. I definitely have Tom's number saved in my phone. The messages between him and I, the text messages, show that I've been keeping him informed. And he was, well, that's important evidence if she tries pulling more bullshit. With him, I hope he's able to pull himself away from the situation, because I see what he's doing, I see what he's trying to do. And, well, he's been pressured by this lady to do things he's not comfortable with, but at the same time, he was probably raised the same way as me, or in a similar situation, where you're taught that you're not a man unless you make sure that she's safe. And she was putting on the sob thing earlier, and she also said that he promised he was going to keep her safe and a bunch of other stuff. So I'm glad he's trying to keep his word. This is how it is pretty much everywhere. I mean, you try to find out where the services are. You try to ask the people who know. She has been asking me questions for days that I tell her, I've been here for as long as you have. I haven't been here any longer. You were already here when I showed up here, so I don't know. I don't know how to answer your questions. I don't know where these places are. I originally parked my car over here because I was asked to watch their camp because they didn't have anyone else to do it. I watched their camp. When I was asked to, I did. Nothing was stolen from their camp while I was watching it. So, there's that. Also, the stuff that was stolen earlier obviously wasn't stolen by me. She stole her own hat, and he's the one that stole the scarf. I was busy helping him move his stuff at that point in time, so I don't think that I recorded it. I carried, what was it, 3 pillows and a tarp, so I mean, it wasn't heavy, it was pretty easy. Then when he let me know where we were taking it, he was trying to clandestinely move it from my vehicle down to the corner of the property so that she wouldn't see that he had it next to my vehicle. And then he wanted to go around the long way instead of just walking it across the street because he didn't want her to know that his stuff was over by my vehicle. But of course, I also got it recorded. I have to. There's too many situations, and nearly every time it's over either a situation with a crazy woman like this, or it's over meth, or it's over alcohol, and I don't mess with meth, I don't mess with alcohol. The blues are apparently fentanyl, and as we know from my hospital report there in Hood River, it wasn't fentanyl that was put into my Dr. Pepper. It was methamphetamines. And I did call, and the guy from what do they call that? CARE, I think it's what it's called. There in Hood, or not Hood River, in the Dalles. The peer support guy used to be an addict, and that's the peer support that he gives us to addicts. And he just happened to be there at the homeless place there in the Dalles, and I spoke to him about the situation, and he said he'd look into it. He also had to go on vacation. Not had to, but he was gone for a week, so that kind of prevented it. He only checks his Facebook about every 5 days or so. His name is Marcus Ibarra, and hopefully he'll get back to me in the next few days about the situation, because there's multiple situations I talked to him about, and he is trying to see if the right thing is done. Since he's been out on the streets, he's going to be knowledgeable about the situations on the streets. Since he's from there, he knows these individuals. He knows Jamie. He knows all the folks there. He knows the addicts. He's familiar with the personalities involved, and that's a big help. So he looked it up. He said that they didn't do it right, that they didn't fill out a report like they're supposed to in that scenario. And when I was talking to the officers here and I explained it to them, yeah, they were agreeing with it. They'd been through the scenario before. That hospital broke the law. And of course, those 2 officers tonight verified it. See, that's the thing about whether it's officers here in Hood River whether it's officers here or in Hood River or in the Dalles, it's state law. Matter of fact, the situation with the hospitals, that's actually national. That's under the category of mandated reporter. And I did let them know that that situation needed to be gone to the police. And I did, of course, record it on my clandestine recording device. I did not post it on my YouTube channel. But I'm going to have to if I can't get somebody to go in with me to make sure the police look at it. Now, also, there's the fact that in all the states that I've been in, despite the fact that they tell me I got to go to this jurisdiction or that jurisdiction, because of the nature of the crimes committed against me and because they are considered heinous crimes, because I am called an at-risk adult, I can turn it in anywhere. I'm supposed to be allowed to turn, if I'm fleeing abuse in the state of Nebraska, I'm supposed to be able to turn that in nationwide. Most of y'all don't know that, do you? You didn't bother to look it up, did you? You wanted to tell me what your assumption of the law was. Well, I've been looking up the laws, and because I've been all over the fucking place, I've had to look up a lot of laws, and the laws are different everywhere. But then there's laws that are the same everywhere, and protocols that are the same everywhere, and places that they send you may have different names. Just like the M1 hold is called something different in other states. It's an M1 hold, I believe, in either Nebraska or Colorado. It's called Suicide Watch in other states. It's called Safety Hold, or they call them all sorts of different names, but it's all the same thing. There's also the fact that it's a 72-hour minimum hold. The officers took me to these places when they wanted me diagnosed with what specifically the officers felt would make it legal that they broke the law. Well, they told the hospitals that I was that, so the hospitals would write it down because they trust the officers. Oh, an officer wouldn't lie to a hospital staff about your diagnosis, would he? Oh, no, of course not. And of course, the fact that a lot of the people the cops bring in, they are actually schizophrenic, or they actually do have those issues. So how's a nurse supposed to know otherwise? She's just writing it down because that's what she's told. And then because she wrote it down, the doctor looks at it and assumes it's the truth. Well, in a long-term setting like the prison that I was sent to, the doctors there did not concur. But then again, the doctors there didn't try immediately putting me on drugs and shit like that. No, I had to deal with the officers at the prison being asswipes and the nurses at the hospital being asswipes. And that first doctor was a fucking idiot. He wanted to argue with security there. I was like, man, that's just dumb. But of course, when I got over to the LCC and Dr. Ted Hill, and also there was Nurse Joseph Hall, and then there was Dr. Sears and one other doctor. Like I said, all my evidence is buried under here, but I got it written down. Got part of my collection of feathers here, and I've been pulling some out of my pocket that I picked up, put them in this piece of cardboard. I put a lot of stuff on my dash when I'm relocating stuff, just because if it's on my dash, that's not somewhere that, like for my smaller stuff, when I put it on my dash, that prevents it from falling all over the place, and then I can shift around the bigger stuff in the areas where there's room to shift bigger stuff, and I don't have all the little stuff falling all over the place. Obviously, I'm still recording because I'm still over by this side of Fred Meyer, and I haven't relocated to the other side. And if there's any altercations or situations, does need to be recorded. The more intense that woman got and the more screwed up shit she started doing, the more I felt it was necessary to record it. That officer was telling me about the meth problem here, but I've been nationwide, I've been coast to coast. There's nowhere that meth is not touched in this country. Nowhere. I mean, shit, Natalie Bollinger was a meth addict and a heroin addict. That was in Colorado and Virginia. She was using those. And then, of course, we got Case Layton Morris from Nebraska, and we got Drake Chambers from Nebraska. And we got Brett Roloff in Virginia, and his girlfriend Amber at the time, who was in Virginia, all meth. Situations that weren't meth, it was alcohol. You have any idea how scary it is to get to somebody's place who said they were going to help you and you realize that they're addicted to meth or alcohol? Especially after I've been railing against those folks because they don't actually help. They make empty promises but never follow through. And these people still, they swear up and down that they'll help me if I get there. For me to be blindsided by the fact that somebody is addicted to meth or addicted to alcohol, that's completely uncalled for, especially when these people are aware of the issues that I have with that. They're also aware, most of these meth addicts admit that meth addicts are not the people you should go to. And then I get there and they're addicted to meth after telling me that they'll help me. After saying meth heads are not people that I should go to, but they're saying that they're going to help me and not telling me that they're addicted to meth. Yeah, that's a scary situation. Now, with the lady here being as crazy as she is, and with that poor old guy trying his best to preserve his sanity, he was just trying to escape the situation. If his friend would have showed up and given him a ride last night or yesterday like they were gonna, or last night like they were gonna, or today like they were gonna, I could have been out of here without any further conflict or issues with that lady. Also, I'm not going to follow the cop's instructions. He doesn't get to tell me who I can and cannot be friends with. And if Tom was able to get her to Portland and drop her off and come back, I do feel that he is somebody who will work with me. Well, I'm sure he'd rather have somebody that'll work with him instead of somebody that he's having to babysit and wipe their ass, like with her. With me, I don't need babysat. There's some stuff that I need my ass wiped, but really what I need is someone to teach me to wipe my ass, if you know what I'm saying. Yes, I literally know how to wipe my own ass, but there's a lot of skills I don't have. As far as survival skills go, I always wanted to learn flint knapping. I could probably make one good enough that if I really needed to get a rabbit with it, I could. But it probably wouldn't be accurate, and I'd probably have to fire the thing from 10 feet away. Lucky for me, rabbits are stupid, and a lot of times they'll just wait there patiently and still, hoping you don't see them. And as long as you're not directly at them, walking directly at them and looking at them, they think that you didn't see them. Rabbits ain't the brightest of characters, or brightest of creatures. My Mississippi harmonica, but it's missing the case on top of it. something like that. Without the top cover, I'm not able to get my lips full wrapped around it like I normally would, but I do have the parts to it still, so I can reassemble it when needed. I got my window, my passenger window cleared out enough that I can see out of it, and I can see my mirror on the side. This is my shawls and stuff. This is actually pretty important. Might not look like it or seem like it, but when you see what I use them for, it makes sense. The patterns on it are all Halloween patterns, but that's why it was on sale. But basically it's just to break up the pattern outline, and it goes underneath the cami stuff, not over the top of it. So the cami itself will help to break up the patterns of like the spider web and the skulls and crossbones and all the bats and stuff like that, because there's like, I don't know, 4 or 5 different things in there, and I think I have those on one of my videos. We also got, this is probably something I should keep on my counter. This is super glue X all adhesive, or fix all adhesive. I know that there's a lot of people here who have inhalant issues. Part of that stems from a lot of them got addicted to really expensive drugs, and then the availability of those drugs dropped out. So they want to replace that type of high, but can't. So any type of high at that point, they'll try. And then they try the air dusters, and, you know, they've tried putting that stuff into the air dusters. It makes it taste nasty so that people won't want to smoke it, or won't want to inhale it. But they're hardcore addicts. They're gonna inhale it. You know, I've had people tell me that they snorted meth, that it burns like a motherfucker until it goes numb, and that you don't want to try it because it burns like a motherfucker. And, you know, if it wasn't an addiction thing and they felt that burn, they would not want to do whatever it is that burned them again. But because they're addicted, they literally hurt themselves to try to feel well. Kind of like when your daddy can't keep his nasty cock beaters off of you, and your mommy doesn't listen. Or maybe it's your brother who molests you, your dad won't listen. Or maybe it's any combination. When it all comes down to it, though, we know it ain't right. I've got police officers admitting in a lot of different situations that I'm right about the law, and of course I am. I look it the fuck up. I want to make sure that I'm right. I want to make sure that I'm not spouting ignorance. And there's a lot of stuff where I did spout ignorance, and I had to go back later on and fucking clean it up. And by cleaning it up, I don't mean erasing the fact that I made a mistake. No, I leave that up. What I have to do at that point when I screw up is I have to admit that I screwed up. And not only do I screw up on YouTube and on Facebook, but I admit that I screwed up on YouTube and Facebook. But I started doing that before Natalie was killed. I mean, there's that video from beginning in December. No, it was just before Christmas, I think. I'll have to look it up. But it was the video that I made where I admitted all of my worst sins on Facebook before Natalie was killed. And folks keep telling me, oh, Sean, you don't admit to anything. Meanwhile, I've been admitting to everything for years. Every screw up that I made. And then folks want to take stuff that I posted. I posted it. And then they say, oh, well, here's proof that you don't admit to shit. See, you did this and this and this and this. And I'm like, that came from my fucking news feed, dude. That's literally me admitting to that shit. You want to use that to pretend that I didn't admit it? No, it don't work that way. Anyway, we got this all set up. We know that Roland was kicked out of the camp a couple of days ago for having a tent We also know right over there, that's where their tent is, or their setup. Um, they got lights on over there, and of course he's doing his best to deal with the situation. And I'm not secured in the belief that he's going to be totally safe there. Um, but I'm secured in the fact that if anything happens, he does have my number and he can call me. I'll be just on the other side of the building, so I won't be far away. I got my man purse. I got my bread. And holy shit, that fucking lady is nuttier than fucking goddamn squirrel turd. So thank goodness he's taking care of the situation. I'm sorry my camera was too furry to show the thing over there. They got it lit up like a Christmas tree. That's way more lit up than Roland's was, from what Roland was telling me. So they'll be asked to move shortly. That's the thing about boondocking. With boondocking laws, all you're doing is boondocking. But like I've been saying for years, all the land is already owned. And like those officers were saying, the land is already owned. So really, it don't come down to what your rights are. It comes down to whether or not you own property. Which I've been saying for years. Kind of like when people invent us a new tent, but we still don't have a place to put that fucking tent. When I design something for the situation at hand. Yes, I am designing a tent, but that tent needs to perform multiple functions in order to help to get people away from the, bullshit that has become American society. The fact that he's got to deal with this, and he's willing to deal with it, actually does put me at ease. I'm glad that I'm not the one who has to deal with her nuttiness. I'm glad that he's the one who's going to be getting yelled at by her about any time that he speaks. I'm not glad that he's enduring that, but I'm glad that I'm not. So I am thankful to him for taking on the responsibility, and even though he was trying to escape and I was assisting and helping him to escape, it didn't happen. And now I should consider that, basically he's helping me to escape her. And that's very nice. I mean, it's creepy enough that she's the way that she is. It's even creepier that, like, she'll go, how do I explain that? Anywhere that I go, she's gonna go sit there. She was asked by Tom not to approach my vehicle. This is after I'm already done with her. I've come over here. I'm finished with her. I don't want to have anything else to do with her. And he's already instructed her to leave me alone and not come over by my vehicle. Now, basically he was explaining to me that the reason he was doing that is because he didn't want her to see his stuff next to my car. And the reason that he took it down to the corner that way is because he didn't want her to see him bringing it back from my car. So I mean, he's trying to hide that part from her to avoid any complications with that. And it's difficult to politically maneuver with a goddamn wingnut, because there ain't no political maneuvering. No matter what, there's still a fucking wingnut. Anyway, I think I can close the door without making a big mess with my cheesecake. I was trying to find something to set it in. That was kind of the last thing I was working on. That's of the. Well, fuck it. I'll put her on my dash right on the grate there. And that way, hopefully it won't slide off. One of my things has a 27% charge on it, which is actually good. Why the fuck ain't it working? My seatbelt is a pain in the ass, and hitting it hurts. But that's what it takes sometimes to actually get it closed. What the fuck is going on? I don't want to be breaking the law by driving around without a... Oh shit, it's stuck down at the bottom. Let's see if we got it now. No. Yep, my seatbelt's broken. I already know it's broken, but now that I know how broken it is, I'm obviously unable to plug it in. And alright, maybe I've got a straw in here. Oh, I do. Make it feel like to blow out part of whatever's in there blocking it. Old car, everything's falling apart. I'll take some money to fix it, and I don't have any. Well, I guess we'll have to pretend it works for right now. We're only going to the other side of the parking lot. I don't know. I think it's weird that somebody would... fuck it, it don't matter. I was hoping that it wasn't going to end up being the situation it was. I was hoping that when his friend was going to come by and rescue him yesterday so that he could escape from her without incident, I was hoping it would all turn out, but well, we don't always get what we want. And well, he had 3 different chances to... What the fuck? Alright, that's bullshit. Alright, I was wondering what was underneath my tire. It's a big piece of thick, heavy glass. Anyway, we'll throw it away once we get to the other side of the building. I'm not comfortable on this side. Matter of fact, I haven't been comfortable with that lady since day one, but she was nice enough to start. Actually, since I ran over something else, I'm curious. Alright. So the reason that it made that sound again, I guess I should probably show it. This is the parking space that I was in. And right there is where one tire was. It's actually where the tire was sitting, and they set the glass right behind the tire. So somebody was trying to pop that tire. The reason that I say that, instead of saying, oh well, it was just a freak accident, somebody dropped a piece of glass and a piece happened to land there. Tom did warn me that she might do something to my vehicle, but it wasn't just that tire. It's also, if you go forward here, this is where my front tire was sitting. And I checked underneath the vehicle, and I didn't see this here either, because, of course, somebody set these perfectly up underneath my driver's side tires so that I would run over them. Fortunately, even though it's extremely thick glass, it was not thick enough to perforate my tire. At least I'm hoping not. Actually, tire. Glass right there. Looks like it's going flat on me. Now without Fred Meyer having security cameras, I don't know if they have one out there. They do. End up with a flat tire. I'm gonna talk to Fred Meyer. Fucking horse shit. God damn it. I don't have an air bubble to fill it up. I don't have money to get a charger to fill it up. It's probably going to be empty by morning, and fuck. Oh, Jesus fucking Christ. I'd rather not call the cops about vandalism, because I already know they don't do shit pretty much nationwide, especially if you're homeless. If there's somebody's life that's at stake, that's a little more important. Oh, fucking bullshit. Let's make sure we turn on my lights. Alright, I just realized that I was not plugged in on the bright side. Oh, no. Alright, much better. Alright. Somebody over there with their lights on. I'm not sure why this late at night. We're passing up Suburban, so there might be somebody living in their vehicle. There's lots of those over here. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 vehicles over here. There be 10, 11, 12. Yep, there's somebody in that one. That one's got blankets up. Yeah, this is all people living in their car, all of it. I'm gonna turn off my car and see if it's still making that air sound. I got enough of a charge on my devices now, so let's turn it off and see if we can hear it. I want to make sure that it's my tire that's hissing and not the fan that's just not quite doing its thing right. Yeah, I don't hear any. I guess we'll just have to wait until the morning and see what happens. Long day. Them officers wanted to keep on giving me advice, and the same advice over and over and over again. Yeah, you can go ahead and give me all the advice you want. You can be on repeat all you want, but if my situation is different from what you expect it to be, or you want to, well, repeatedly say the same thing over and over again, not knowing the situation, well, you're not really being useful. That's why I record. There's a reason that I, once it became a safety issue, did absolutely start recording. Also, there's the personality types, and you gotta understand your personality types. But just because two people have the same personality type doesn't mean that they have the same beliefs. I've had a lot of people throughout this that have the same personality types and very different beliefs, and they promised to help me as long as I jumped through the hoops that they wanted. And of course, the two people having the same personality but having different opinions of what I should be doing. You know, there was a situation with Layla Johnson and Cara Rogers, and a few situations very similar to that, like the one with Alyssa Rainwater and Kayla Trujillo, where, alright, Alyssa Rainwater, I let her know that Kayla Trujillo had evidence and to try to contact her. I also wrote Kayla Trujillo a letter where Kayla Trujillo had told me later on that she didn't get to read the letter because she put it in her backpack and it got rained on. Well, that's not my fault. She also said that somebody did call her but didn't leave their name and didn't leave a number, so she didn't know who to call. And that was with my public pretender. Meanwhile, my public pretender, her excuse was that she called, nobody answered, so she wasn't going to try again. That's stupid. I'm not happy with these folks. I'm not mad at Tom. I understand that, well, he's got to take what he's got to take, and I got to take what I got to take. And we only have to endure it long enough to get her back to Portland. And if he doesn't come back, I'm not going to count him as a hatched egg until he does. I'm not going to hold off on plans just because he might show up. Because that's one of the things with all these folks who told me they were going to do this and they were going to do that. They were going to help me. They were going to go to my court dates. They were going to speak up about the abuse. They were going to speak up about me coming to them for help and so on and so forth. And, well, like I often say, life is what it is. When it comes to the abuse at the hands of the police and the abuse at the hands of the Bollingers, these are not two organizations or groups that you would expect nor want working together. because they're not working together to stop the bad guys, they're working together to protect the bad guys, to hide the wrongdoing of the bad guys. Emily H. Olson, Bay City, Oregon. Well, apparently there's someone named Emily Olson whose mail says important documents enclosed is in the garbage. I'm not gonna touch it. Just so you know, don't throw your important documents away at Fred Meyer's in the recycling area. Someone can pull your stuff out, look at your personal information, and possibly use it to assume your identity. So don't do stupid shit. There's also the chance that Emily Olson is somebody who had an overdose and died, or got put in jail and they were homeless and their bag was out and somebody happened to find it and want the bag and some of the stuff in it, but not all of Emily Olson's personal papers. Now, if Emily Olson's situation was like mine, and not saying that it is, it's just a name at this point, but if it's a homeless person in a situation like mine, that evidence is important, and she may spend a lot of time in prison or worse over things that she didn't do, and she'll never be able to clear her name because some asshole threw away all the evidence. I'm fighting hard for the preservation of evidence while everybody else is fighting hard to destroy it. I don't care what they're doing or how many child molesters or rapists that they're helping get away. No, they just don't want anybody to know that they were involved, how they were involved, or the illegal and immoral things that they did. And of course, you get to see, like this situation here. I am that lady's victim. Tom is that lady's victim. Alexander is that lady's victim. That gentleman this morning that she went after is, of course, Molly's victim. Yeah, she hasn't been here long and she's already victimized and pissed off a lot of people. That guy whose birthday it was, he was actually out there right after the cops left smoking meth with his lady friend and their friend, and she explained that she's trying to be invisible, and she said, all right, as soon as she saw the cops come up, I heard her say, all right, there's no keys in the ignition or in the car, it's not my car, I don't know nothing. I'm like, fuck. God damn it, please don't put me in this position. But they didn't give me any problems or issues. They didn't say the car was stolen or anything like that. They just were voicing the opinion that they didn't want to have any issues. What the fuck? Somebody... That's part of my door, it looks like. Does it look like someone took a razor knife to it, or does it look like it just got old and broke off? Fuck it. To me, it looks like it just got old. I don't think that's from vandalism. The thing with my tires, that's for certain somebody being a fucking douchebag. And although I got my list of suspects, there's really only one on that list. And Tom already told me that, yeah, I should probably be worried about her doing something to my vehicle. So, yeah, she's number one on my list. I also know from experience that just because it's the most obvious answer doesn't mean that it's the right one. I mean, the most obvious answer with the situation with me and Natalie was to come after me based on the information that you guys had access to. But what about the rest of it? Why is it you only saw one side? Why is it that in all this time of me trying to show this evidence, I've been prevented from doing so? And I've been repeatedly forced to go back to my predators for help. In this situation, I didn't want a whole bunch of fucking bullshit with some goddamn wingnut lady. And by the time I realized I didn't want to go back to the camp, he's trying to escape it. Now, if only I could remember where I put my tobacco pipe. That'd be a real winner. Although that's not what I'm looking for right now. I'm looking for my flashlight so I don't wear out my battery here and end up having to push my car more. Don't sound like much fun. And I gave that lady a flashlight so that she would have one, and that was either yesterday or the day before. I've been trying real hard to be as nice and hospitable as I can. God, I wish I had some real friends, you know? It'd be nice to just chill and hang out with my friends and laugh and joke like we used to before Natalie, well, before my back got injured, because that was actually the point where everybody threw me away. They didn't throw me away over the Natalie thing. They threw me away well before that because I fucked up my back and could no longer jump through hoops for them and help them out every time they needed it. It became a situation where if Miss Jerry called me for help, she probably wasn't going to get it as far as helping to move stuff because my back was too fucked up. And that goes for a lot of other people too. That doesn't mean that I wasn't going to try if they asked, but most of them realized how screwed up I was and went, well, we'll just leave Sean injured and on his own. Oh, cool, very sweet of you. That's why you're such good friends. Fuck. Es no bueno. Let's check out my man purse and see if I might have left it in there. I could probably go back and watch. Oh, there it is. It's in my driver's seat, right underneath my backside. So, now that we know that, we put that on there. And of course, reverse what we were doing earlier so that there's enough room for me to lean over. And of course, also to have some privacy. Those folks over there have a blanket set up, but I got this blind and I think it works a little bit better than a blanket because it's got silver on the outside. Not literal silver, but it's got a reflective metallic type of coat on it, so you know, it doesn't, like with a blanket, if you've got the light of the vehicle, people can actually kind of sort of see what you're doing in there. With this being reflective, they don't, so they don't even know if somebody's sleeping in the vehicle. They said there won't be any problems tonight and they won't bug with me. They also said that, yeah, eventually Fred Meyer will call it in and have it towed. And, you know, you guys got to hear me a couple of days ago I was going to leave. And I was going to relocate. Well, I took some time away from that because Tom was trying to escape. And it turned into 2 days of him trying to escape and his friends not coming through. If he could show me a place where I could stash my stuff for a few days, I'll give him a ride where he needs to go. It's not far. I could probably get to Portland on the gas that I have. I probably should have spent more time panhandling today than I did, but you know, after all that shit with that lady, I just wasn't up to it. You know, at that point, I was just thinking about hanging myself or jumping off a cliff or something, you know? I mean, I'm overwhelmed with that shit. And there's a lot of people that, you know, they would help me and would take the time to help me, but then they're always helping out women like her who are completely fucking batshit goddamn bonkers. And you got to see, of course, that there was glass underneath both of my fucking driver's side tires over there. There was no broken glass other than underneath where both of my tires were. She stuffed the glass up underneath both of my driver's side tires. And then, of course, as soon as I started up and backed up, you get to hear that crunching. I'll go back through the video and find out exactly where it's at. And, you know, it's just fucking horse shit. It's uncalled for. It's not necessary. I tried to help out Tom, and fucking she goes and fucking makes a big old goddamn mess out of his decisions and hers. So today, when she realized that she was fucking wrong, she came over somewhat apologetic. But then when he was saying he was going to say he found that stuff over behind Goodwill, I was like, fuck. See, now that's going to lead her to believe that it was somebody going through the camp, like she was saying earlier. You just fucking reinforced her paranoia, is what you did. Like, when somebody's saying that shit, it's usually a good thing to correct them. I understand why he doesn't correct her, because he doesn't want the bullshit that goes with it. When the cops are telling me about him and her, like, well, no, if he calls me for help, he's going to get it. I told him that if he calls me for help, I'm going to help him. Oh, fucking A. When those tweakers, they were telling me stories too. Like, damn, you know, about her screaming at some Hispanic feller that was over there, a couple other people, and they were talking about how he'd been screaming for days. And I'm like, see that? Or how she'd been screaming for days. And I'm like, see, that's what I get for turning off the camera and try to give them privacy. The first thing they do when I turn off my camera is start talking about her. Anyway, her name is apparently Molly, or at least that's what she's going by. One person fucked up and entitled like that is enough to screw up a whole fucking good thing. When I was at Tabitha Michelle Cook's, nobody else there was a problem except for Joshua Eichelberger. Not until I left. When it came down to Graham and Graham fucking up, Tabitha had started having sex with Graham, so all of a sudden, you know, it was kind of the same situation with Joshua Eichelberger. I had to just accept it and take it because Tabitha's place, Tabitha's the one that should be in charge, and her boyfriend is a fucking drunken idiot. Well, then Graham, when she started dating him, I already knew. I was like, you know what? This is fucked up, because she's not going to take sides based on the situation. She's going to take sides based on the penis that's getting shoved in her. And she had started dating Joshua's best friend, Graham, who plays Ultra Christian. Like, yeah, man, that sounds Ultra Christian. Not. I keep almost calling Molly Sandy because of Sandy Fromm in Nebraska. Anyway, I'm over on the other side of the building. Cops are recorded on my channel saying they're not going to mess with me. Of course, if they do decide to mess with me and arrest me, it's not like any of my watchers on my YouTube channel are actually going to check up and try to find out how I'm doing or what I'm doing or where I'm at. Although I had several of my YouTubers tell me that they had tried when I was arrested on false charges and sent to prison. And no, they didn't follow the law in any of that situation. And of course, Megan Misigatis didn't keep her word to send that stuff to the Nebraska State Patrol like she was supposed to. Fucking A. Meanwhile, I'm expected to show all of this evidence without the ability to show the evidence. I'm supposed to be able to do this stuff on the computer, even though my computer won't work unless it's plugged in and has access to the internet, and I got nowhere to plug it in. Well, nowhere to plug it in legally anyway. Alright, so how do we end these videos? You guessed it. Good to be rid of you. Thanks for coming to visit. Stay out of trouble or don't get caught. Remember, you are your brother's keeper, and no victim left behind.